let's look at who might get in the top 6 then. And 2 teams who we haven't mentioned that could be in this middle bracket that we have spoken about. Will Widnes continue their progression, 14th, 10th, 6th a possibility? And then we have to look at Salford, who actually could be anything.
I think Widnes will be happy to get in the top 8, and it will be progress if they do that. I certainly don't expect them to take any steps backwards, and what they have got is they've got the high pitch. And I'll tell you that, and people, I know a lot of Widnesians will get upset with me about that, but Widnes at home are completely different from Widnes away, and it's really difficult to play on that field. You ask any player, and you'll also notice some of the senior players
don't play.
Exactly right. Some of the senior players are rotated because they're carrying niggles on that pitch, so that's a big plus point for them as well. But I certainly think they'll keep the progression, and I think they'll be looking for the top 8. Whether they get there, I don't know, but they won't be far off.
I've got them in the bottom 2. That's 3. Yeah, I've got them in the bottom 2. I think they've done well what they've got, and the battle and they've got thing. I think Gazout were a big X factor last year. I think it'll be a big miss. I think Mellor will have to really carry him forward. I don't think what I've seen on the signings they've made this year. I think Dennis pulls this off and gets them out of the bottom 2. He really is a magician.
Well, I'll have a bet with him,
and I'll take John's money here.
So let's talk about Salford, who were the great unknown, on the basis of the fact that the team will not have played together as a team until they run on the field against Wakefield for the first weekend. They've signed some quality. They've got Brian Noble, who will meld it all together in a way that he's done 2 or 3 times before at other clubs. Can we genuinely, honestly say that we can see Salford finishing in the top 6,
yeah.
or again, is not getting relegated the priority?
No, I think not getting relegated won't be good enough for Salford. I'll tell you, Salford will want to be in that top 6. Quality of play, they've got the potential to be that. Quality of coach, they've got the potential to be that. It's fulfilling that potential, and they could be the big improver from bottom right the way through up to 6, and I think they will really fancy that. And as I've said before, I just think it's so exciting what's happened at Salford, and I take my hat off to the owner as well for making that happen.
Top 6?
No, not for me. Just outside the top 6. I'd like a little bit more pace as a group. I think they'll do very well, but I think where the cap works, it's and I want to scrap the cap and let's have it. Let's go and watch some rugby. I think the replacing the cap with fitting that many players in are the ones that they'll be short on. Whereas Leeds have, Warrington maybe have 5 or 6 years to develop a young kid. They play the money ball where you might have a Sutcliffe who's on this money but actually gets 25 games out, which enables you then to pay somebody else an extra 30 grand because you've got this. Salford haven't got that. It's either there or it's there, and I think they'll just finish out the top 6. But I'm like John, I cannot wait to watch them, and let's bring Sonny Bill and Sam and let's do it. Let's do it proper.
So we've got 5 teams we haven't spoken about, who I would imagine will be 5 who we all think will finish in the top 6. The excitement then becomes in what order. But let's take them one at a time. Huddersfield, first trophy for 81 years last year. Fabulous to get some silverware on the board. Danny Brough, the outstanding player in Super League. Can they build on that, or will there be a pressure there that might have to see them drop back a little bit?
They've created that pressure because they were good. So and you welcome that. So I think that they'll be looking to replicate that. And there's no reason in my mind, with the quality of player there, the stability on the coaching side, for them to be there or thereabouts for top 2 or 3.
Jody Broughton's quite a significant signing for them as well, because he gives them some strike and some pace out wide, which is not to say that Aaron Murphy didn't have it, but maybe he's more suited to the full-back role, but it's giving options again. So do we see Huddersfield maintaining this progress over the last few years?
He'll give them pace. Jody Broughton, I've watched him in 16. He'll give them pace. The full-back, you need a bit more. Jody's a fantastic person and a fantastic, but he'll give them sheer electric, 20-yard, gone. I think they're very hard to maintain what they did last year. I think other teams didn't pull the weight. I think Huddersfield were fantastic, deserved the victory. And when I saw them play Leeds, I knew they had a chance, because usually when they played Leeds, there was a bit of a fear factor. Or wait till there was no fear factor. They come and destroyed Leeds at Leeds, and that's when I can remember thinking, God, you want to be on these, because these are actually they're believing in themselves. And John's got a couple of the youngsters who I really like, who you need that throughout the season to add them to you. If them youngsters step up, they will, but I think it's going to be fantastic if they can achieve the same again.
less of an unknown quantity as well. Other teams will be more wary as to how they play Huddersfield, but they're just still going to have this very big, remorseless pack. And we should mention Sean Lunt as well, because although Danny Brough took the accolades, and rightly so, how important was Sean Lunt coming back, having won a grand final?
Exactly, he was massive. Robinson was as well. Griggs was at fullback. So you know they're still
the spines there.
They've got that stability. They won't be far away. And you're saying I don't think they did shock people. I mean, how many times have they beaten Leeds so many times on the bounce now? You know, Leeds must fear that claret and gold. You know, they must think, my word, anybody but them. So they know how to beat the top teams, and they'll be there or thereabouts without a shadow of a doubt.
Let's talk about Leeds then. They didn't win a trophy last year. They didn't get to a final last year, which in the modern era hasn't happened too often. They had quite a few players involved with England who, although we revelled in the performances in the World Cup, they didn't make the final, so there's an element of disappointment as well. Will that affect the way Leeds play, or will that be added motivation for them this year?
God. When you come into a job, Leeds are one of the only clubs I think in sporting history who've won grand finals with 3 different coaches. I'd like to see another sport where this has happened, which tells you that the strength is in what they do, in the planning and the planning
in the culture and the club.
Yeah, 100%. Because it's never happened. I tried to check this once. I'm thinking, as a team, ever won it with 3 separate coaches. I'm a big believer in Brian. I think he's a character and he's a thing. But I tell you what, all the lads have a lot of respect and a lot of time for him. He has a humane side of him which you don't quite see because he's quite in the way he is. He's got it. I think he can. I think they're devastated last 2 years that they haven't actually finished further up. I think everything this year will be to finish top of that league. So I'd say Leeds are going to be very dangerous because they've never put it together consistently. And all the talk I keep hearing of the lads is they're going to finish as high as they can, which makes me think they'll finish in the top 2. Fact. And I think they'll be very close. One other team, which we're going to come to later, I think. But I think Leeds will be right up there. Jamie Peacock, we go to the local gym, he's doing extras. He's a machine. I can't start, you know, I'm sat there with my bacon butty watching him thinking, you've got to be, not everything's there, the desire's there, the youngsters will come and Leeds will finish very high.
Good mix.
It is a good mix, but and I bring it back to what we said earlier, the big question is the 30 plus. The 30 pluses are regularly on the field, the 30 pluses are playing well, Leeds will do well.
30 pluses at Warrington as well.
There are, yes.
Come very close 2 years running. Does that mean they now have that incentive to make sure it isn't 3, or do they look at themselves and say, what more do we need to do? Is it going to be a difficult season for Warrington to be up there, or do they know all the
Tony
processes?
Smith, he's been around the block too many times. That's Tony. You know, this won't faze him whatsoever. He'll just see it as a challenge. He'll see replace Breers, right? We'll bring Ratchford in. Let's have a look at him. And it's throughout. Replace Marley, okay. Asatasi, you're in there. So he'll see this. He's regenerated Mickey Hyan, hasn't he? He became #1 hooker. So it won't face Tony Smith one iota, and Warrington will be there or thereabouts again.
If Warrington had something that was beyond their control, it's that because they play such wonderful rugby throughout the course of the regular season, they do tend to blow teams away. They didn't have enough intense games often enough. Can they do anything
I
about
dispute that. I think the injuries, I mean, Wigan was sensational in that grand final to come back from 16-0 down, but the biggest incident in that final was the injuries. You lose a winger, you lose a fullback, and your rotation was your middle channel, 13, 10, 9, 8. Well, you're going to be struggling. There was one point where there were 3 different fullbacks within about 10 minutes for Warrington, and it stuffed them organisationally. Credit to Wigan, they took full advantage. It played some great rugby league, but those injuries were instrumental in that. And I think Tony Smith realises that, and he'll just think we need to keep sticking with the processes, keep sticking with these lads, keep bringing the others through, and they won't be far away.
He's massive. He's massive. He's Tony and Simon on developing people as well as a club and winning. It's about developing these certain people. I know what they've got coming, and God help the rest. If them young lads become what I think they will be, they're going to have some fun there because they've got a chairman who will not hesitate to pull the trigger if it's on. In fact, I think sometimes he wants it. He wants to say, "Come on, let's do what Mr. Cook. Let's have it. Let's bring it." He's got one of the best youth structures in the world, in my opinion. You've got a great coach. You've got a great fan base. They will definitely be in the top 2. My thing, I think it's an absolute certainty. And again, I think the only negative I'm going to say is the 2 half-backs. I don't know whether Mile and Ratchford, whether you've got that playmaker. And I was surprised that Warrington didn't. I thought they might have gone for somebody who can say, right, I'll put the ball on the sixpence and play. I don't think neither of them can do that. Whether Tony can coax that into him is the challenge. On it negative, hard at rest positive.
So you mentioned Wigan and their astonishing achievement last year. I mean, we all thought that the double probably couldn't be done in the summer era. We didn't think that they could replace the players that had left last summer, never mind anything else.
We're all saying, oh, Cartman's gone, oh, Finch has gone, oh, Lula's gone. Oh, they've no chance. Well, and they proved everybody wrong.
And they had more injuries than any other club. I think they gave 9 academy players
They
debuts.
were absolutely tremendous last year, and they were deserved double winners as well. And I'll tell you what, they did it as well without Sean O'Loughlin for a lot of the time. If Sean O'Loughlin plays week in, week out, how good are they going to be? Because we talk about half-backs and so, but he's just a leader. You know, you can number him 526 and play him on wing if you want, but I'll tell you, he's a leader. And if he's out on the field, Wigan again are going to be there or thereabouts. And again, it's fascinating at Wigan, replacing the ones who've gone out and seeing who's going to come through. But I certainly think they've got the quality there.
Another young British coach as well, which is something that we need to touch on. We can't mention that with John because he's a young British coach, but Leeds have got it, Wigan have got it. It's important.
Huddersfield have got it.
3 of the top clubs have got young British coaches.
Isn't it nice when someone does apprenticeship and then gets a chance? And he did it. He did it the man's way. He did it as you should do it. He went and did the youth. I know when when you speak to the lads before they play Wigan, you'll get one thing in their mind. They'll go, oh no, because they're thinking at wrestle. They're thinking how physically it's going to be. They're quite. No, I'm not going to say negative because it's not for me to say that. But there's always a wince as if to say, oh my God, we're not going to be. There's no cheating against Wigan. You are in there and they're going to hit you and they're going to wrestle you. I can a lot of my lads say, oh, they just count the stars. They know what's coming. They know what's coming. The way they stack up in attack, I think me and John could play now in that system's that good. I think you can step in. Somebody said to me, they think the other 2 half-backs. Yeah, the system's that good. They could do it. They definitely could do it because it's that way. They do it. I don't know why. I keep asking a lot of one-day coaches, why don't they all do the stacking up? What is it? Because it works. It obviously works because the way they play, everyone knows what they're doing, which I don't think you see that on 85% of other teams. I don't think they have that.
I'll tell you why they don't do it, because they ain't got Sam Tompkins.
Is that what?
That shape was absolutely designed for Sam Tompkins, and he was brilliant at it. And Michael Maguire's first did it. Sean Wayne's developed it, and he was absolutely brilliant. And that's the only what if with the Wigan side. I'm certain that they're going to be there or thereabouts. Whether they can be as good depends on the number 1, Matty Bowen.
And we need to pay tribute as well to Iestyn Harris and Paul Deacon, who are also young British coaches. So that leaves us with one club who I think we all feel have recruited arguably better than any other, and that's St Helens. And bringing in 2 very important overseas players in key positions. One who's going to be an impact player and a cult hero and may only do 20-minute stints, but Mossy Masoa is going to be arguably the biggest player.
Well, you're not going to kick off to his side.
You're not.
You'll see where he's lining up and you'll be kicking off to the other side, no doubt about that, when you saw did it to New Zealand.
So you've got him, but then you've got the guy who will be pulling the strings. Perhaps the one thing that St Helens have missed in the last couple of years, and that is an out-and-out scrum half who will dictate the play. And Luke Walsh arguably could be the difference between winning and losing the grand final.
Everything's there, and John's just said it's exciting to look down the list. This is thinking. I like Nathan Brown. I think he's a breath of fresh air. I think it says it as it is. It's somebody who I'd like to go for a beer with. I speak to him a bit. I think you're right up my street. He's got to be able to though put a championship side together. Now that's different. I've got 4 or 5 players up with Nathan, and they say straight away he's the best coach they've ever had because he's individually making them better players. To do that with a group is another total different thing. To improve you as a player is different to saying, can I get this team to win a championship? That's the only question mark I'm going to do. I think he's fantastic, and I think we need a good St Helens side. They've invested in the new stadium. That one's gone through now. Everything's ready. Let's watch them. One of the most enjoyable things for me as a fan of rugby league, we're watching the Saints side. It was fantastic, all playing open rugby. Let's get back to that. But the question mark's got to be, can you win a championship side? Can you win a grand final? When I'm not saying. I think the big question I saw when he left Huddersfield, I had a question mark thinking, how's Paul going to follow him? That is just the most amazing thing. He did. He actually did, and whether you want to not say it or say it, he did, and he actually improved it because he won. He won the league. So that's my only negative is, can Nathan produce a team to actually win something for a full season, he can definitely improve players because all the lads talk about it.
Two things he has got in his favour. He's got a group of extremely talented young players who now have quite a few games under their belt. So, you know, Tommy Makinson, Adam Swift, Gary Wheeler. There's
Johnny Lomax, isn't he?
Johnny Lomax.
There's a core of very experienced men.
Mike Percival, I thought, were exceptional.
Yes. But at the other end, he's still got his Paul Wellens.
Yes.
He's still got his John Wilkin. He's got his generals out there. They may not play the same number of games.
Yes.
But is that mix a winning mix?
I think it is. Yeah, I really do. I mean, if I was excited about 2 season tickets, one would be a Salford one, because you wouldn't know what the heck's going to happen, and one would be a St Helens one because you'd be expecting things to happen now, and I really think that the scrum half is the final piece in the jigsaw. So I think I'll put Saints in the top 6. I'll make Saints the favourites to win the grand final.
Big call.
So who's going to win the grand final from your end?
To win the league, I'm going to go on Warrington. I think they'll have the squad to win the league. Grand final's very hard because it's a one-off game, and I've seen Leeds do it from impossible angles. I've seen what's happened. Grand final, I think it'll be a grand final of Warrington Leeds, and I'm not going to call that one. That's the first time I'm going to sit on the fence because it's different. The grand final is just that one-off, and it's to win the league. I think Warrington have got the squad to win it, in my opinion.
I'm leaning towards you as well. I just think if Saints get a good start to the season,
Yep.
There's also that historical baggage of 6 defeats in grand finals, and it's not the same players, but the club needs to win.
I think it was 2006 they actually won something. So they're for a club of that stature, they're overdue, and 2014 might be the year for it to be delivered.
Do come back and haunt us with our predictions. Do follow us all on Twitter and tell us where we got it wrong. But most importantly, do enjoy the 2014 Rugby League season. I think we're going to.